Hello everyone, welcome to Daily News Simplified. From today's edition of newspaper, we have come up with 5 topics. The topic which we are going to discuss from the perspective of mains examination is Mission Mausam. Secondly, we are going to talk about the rights which are needed for LGBT community to live a equal life or to live a dignified life. We are going to discuss in article number 2. From the perspective of preliminary discussion, we have taken 3 topics, that is light pollution, the Golden Fibre, which is also known as jute, and thirdly we are going to talk about the constitutional provisions for regional language in High Court. So let us start our discussion from the first topic, that is Mission Mausam. So we have taken this article from the Hindu newspaper, and the article read like this: Will Mission Mausam improve weather forecast? So we are going to see whether it will going to improve our forecasting or not. So let us read the context first. On September 11th only, the cabinet cleared a 2000 crore program called Mission Mausam to upgrade infrastructure used to make atmosphere observation or weather forecasting. So we can use this article, that is Mission Mausam, in 2 parts. Especially we can use in indigenization of technology and developing new technology, and we can also use this concept in disaster and disaster management. UPSC in the past has asked one question related to Indian Meteorological Department, that is meaning of color coding warning for cyclone prone areas. So this question might be asked in the UPSC as well, both in preliminary as well as mains section. Let us start our first topic, that is Mission Mausam. So before starting, let us try to understand what is the challenges in weather forecasting, because it is not an easy task. A number of other parameters are interrelated or interdependent. They are interacting in such a manner to create a complex whole, and that complex whole sometimes can be seen in weather and climatic phenomena as well. So let us talk about the first topic, that is complexity of atmospheric system. So in complexity of atmospheric system, you know there are a number of parameters which decide the climate or weather of any region. So we are going to talk about the climatic parameter only. We will not going to dwell upon the other geomorphological parameter in this. So complexity of atmospheric system. So as you know, humidity, insolation, wind speed, pressure gradient, temperature. There are many parameters to decide or to define one climate or weather, and you know that all these parameters which we are seeing, that humidity, insolation, wind speed, wind, pressure gradient, are interrelated with each other to create a climate of any region, and their interactions are so subjective that it is very hard to decipher how they are interacting with each other to create a specified climate. So that's why we are needing, that is a challenge actually with respect to weather forecasting in our country or any other place. Secondly, we are going to talk about data integration and model accuracy. Why we need data? If we have to feed certain data in order to predict certain things, as we have seen in the artificial intelligence also, that we have to feed certain data into the system so that it can predict the future outcomes. So on the basis of that, we have to understand how these parameters are interacting with each other, and at the same time whatever data we are entering into the system are authentic enough or not, they have integrity or not. If the data is not that much having integrity, it means that the model or the prediction will bound to be wrong. Similarly, when we are talking about model accuracy, model means it is an artificial system. It is not a natural system like atmospheric system. In artificial system, we create certain inputs and certain measures and try to understand the interaction between these parameters and try to understand the outcome out of it. However, the accuracy will be dependent on various factors. How the intensity of interaction between these parameters are happening, how much the data are reliable. So it is also a challenge to make any model which are more accurate in nature. Thirdly, unpredictability and limitations of models. As you know, as I have highlighted also, that The models are not a natural system, they are artificial system. So one might miss one parameter, one might not understand the interaction between different parameters of the climate. In this case, what will happen, whatever the outcome this model will going to predict will not be authentic enough. Fourthly, weather modification risk. So there are number of things which are used by various industries or governments in order to regulate the clouds, in order to regulate the precipitation and in any region. Similarly, cloud seeding is one phenomena. So when we are doing the cloud seeding in order to reduce the intensity of flood or intensity of flash floods, or in order to reduce the intensity of precipitation, or in order to increase the condensation nuclei in the atmosphere, in order to regulate the temperature or other parameters of the climate. And it becomes a very challenging for us when we are interacting or when we are intruding into the atmosphere. They may repel in a very different way. We do not know how this human intervention in this climatic phenomena will going to result in future. So that is also a challenge in front of us. And finally, infrastructure and resource constraint. As you know, we have to use a number of technologies like supercomputers, profilers, satellites, radar system, and all are costly system, and they put a lot of financial constraint on the government or any other entity which are trying to forecast the weather. Now we are going to see what type of measures India has taken in the past, and at the same time we have also going to talk about the mission Mausam. So this part will be a little factual, bear with me. Okay, the first is infrastructure point of view, what type of infrastructural development we are doing. So first comes the mission Mausam, which has been launched in last 3 days only. The objective of this system is to improve the monsoon forecast. So when there will be onset of monsoon, when there will be break in monsoon, what will be its spatial distribution, what will be its temporal distribution, right? So we are going to talk about this. We are going to forecast this system using various technology. We are going to see in next slide. And second objective is air quality alerts. So air quality is one of the indicators in order to decide the amount of condensation nuclei in the atmosphere, the PM 2.5, PM 10 and other pollutant into the atmosphere. And these pollutants do interact with climatic phenomena, and they may impact the monsoonal or other precipitation system, right? So this we are going to focus in this mission as well. Extreme weather warnings like cyclones, we already have such system, but this system will be more robust with the inauguration of this mission Mausam. Cyclones, there are also for landslides and many more other disasters which are prevalent in our country. Fourthly, it will also going to investigate the impact of cloud seeding and lightning strike. As we have discussed that cloud seeding may impact the weather or climate of any region, and how it will going to impact we have to understand through various models, right? Lightning strike, that is very generally it is very not recognized as an important disaster, but it is one of the largest disaster in our country, leading to a lot of loss of life and livelihood in our country. That is lightning strike. We have to understand this phenomena as well, because these phenomena still are not exactly understood. For that, what we are going to do, we are going to deploy next generation radars, satellite system, high performance supercomputers. Why we are using supercomputers? Because we are going to give a huge amount of data into the system, and that data will be processed, and for that we need huge memory, especially in the RAM and ROM part of our computer. For that we need supercomputer, because this ordinary computer cannot able to process such a huge data, right? So that is a thing, that's why we are using supercomputers. Developing improved earth system models, as we have talked about the model system, that is artificial model system, which will be going to integrate more parameters, which will going to understand the interactions more carefully in order to predict or gauge the weather of any region. It will also going to create GIS based, geographically information system based automatic decision support system for real data dissemination, because data dissemination is very important in order to warn the public which will be engulfed by this kind of disaster. Now we will going to see other missions which was launched by Government of India in 2012, that is monsoon mission. The objective is same, that we have to predict the accuracy of monsoon forecast and climate predictions. For that they are using the statistical methods, right? They are using the statistical method, means it is a simple equation in order to predict the monsoons, right? But in this system which we are going to launch in near future, that is mission Mausam, in which we will going to use dynamic models. Dynamic models means it can change depending upon the situation, right? And it will also going to process huge data, right? So these are the things which are advanced stage as compared to monsoon mission 2012. And now we are going to talk about what type of technological upgrades we have undertaken. Supercomputers, we have set one supercomputer in meteorological department in our country, and we are also going to use new generation radars and satellites whose accuracy will be much more as compared to the earlier satellites. In research and development, we are going to develop the dynamic weather models as we have discussed here also, and also we are going to see what will be the impact of weather modification or cloud seeding on the weather or climate of the region of the world, right? So these are the some things which are included, which we have taken the measures in order to improve our forecasting, especially with respect to the climate, right? And apart from that, we have established various institutions as well, like IMD, National Center for Medium Range Forecasting. It is used for 15 days forecasting, right? And Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology. Here we have set up one supercomputer in order to understand in order to do the dynamic modeling of the weather phenomena. So through this we will able to gauge 1 day, week, and even seasonal forecast of the weather and climate of a region. Fifthly, we are going to talk about public and policy measures, weather alert and early warning system. It is already there, and we have to enhance the outreach of this system so that people get aware regarding the disaster or regarding the climate of that regions. We are also collaborating with international organizations like World Meteorological Departments, and we are also taking certain images or certain inputs from NASA as well. Education and training. Yeah, it is very important, because in order to understand this dynamics or in order to understand this climatic phenomena, we have to have a proper skill level for the personnel who are employed in this system. And at the same time, we have to enhance the capacity of the population as well, because they are the important stakeholders of the weather and climate, because any kind of disaster which will going to happen in future will going to impact the population first. For that, we have to enhance the capacity of that people so that they become resilient enough to resilient enough to counter the weather extremities. Now we are going to see our second topic. This topic is very important because we have been seeing this thing since our childhood, because this population has been vulnerable since then and beyond before then also, and they are facing a lot of challenges with respect to economy, society. Even they do not have a legal recognitions. Due to this, they are facing a number of challenges, and being a society which we talk about as a egalitarian society, we have to take care of these vulnerable sections, because they are very isolated from the society and they do not have a sense of belonging into the society. For that, we have to take certain measures. Let us see what are the challenges they are facing in long term as well as in short term. So we have taken this article from the Hindu newspaper, and the article read like this: what rights are queer couples fighting for? So there are a number of rights they are fighting for. We're going to see one by one. The context is this: because recently the finance ministry has taken a very good initiative, and that has have a concurrence with Reserve Bank of India as well, that it made clear to all commercial banks that people from the LGBTQIA plus community and those in queer relationship cannot be prevented from opening joint bank account. It means that earlier they are prevented from opening the joint bank account. So see, this type of rights are not given to them. They are now treated as a second class citizen in our country. That is not good, as we are talking about becoming a global leader. So we have to cater all the stakeholders which are present in our country, and nominating their queer partners as their beneficiaries, right? So we have taken this article because, as you know, vulnerable sections, welfare schemes and various challenges associated with vulnerable sections are part of our syllabus, and UPSC in the past has asked related to this: performance of welfare schemes that are implemented for vulnerable sections is not so effective due to absence of their awareness and active involvement at all stages of policy process. It means that the policy which we are making are not inclusive enough, and at the same time the stakeholders who are going to get the benefit of this welfare scheme are not aware about the scheme as well. So this is a huge challenge, and that's why UPSC in 2017 has asked this question. Now we are going to see the challenges faced by the queer population or LGBTQ community in our country. As you know, homosexuality has been decriminalized in our country, right, by the Supreme Court. However, you have to note one thing, that same-sex marriage is not recognized in the law of the land. That same-sex marriage do not have a legal recognition, and because of that they have to face a number of challenges, especially the challenges associated with inheritance right? They do not have inheritance right because the marriage itself is not considered legal in our country. And at the same time, the queer couples do not have rights for adoption as well as parenting, which in turn deprive them from a healthy family, or they deprived from a proper family planning. So these are the very good challenges, or very bad challenges actually, faced by the LGBTQ communities, and they are feeling isolated because of these problems, especially with respect to the legal recognition. Because if they do not have a legal recognition, they cannot be considered as a legal entity, and whatever welfare and measures available in our country related to the legal entity will not be utilized by them. Secondly, discrimination and social stigma. So they are the population, from their childhood they start feeling the stigma, prejudices. There are a number of prejudices attached with these communities, as you may hear in your childhood as well. And apart from that, they also face xenophobic tendencies or behavior towards them, xenophobic behaviors towards them. And this behavior means that you are teasing them, you are beating them because of their gender only, right? So this type of xenophobic behavior put them in isolation, and which in turn lead them a lot of issues, especially with the mental health problem right here. And when we are talking about workplace, have you find any place living government of India, especially the state of Madhya Pradesh, they have appointed one transgender as a police personnel. Have you ever seen any transgender working in your workplace? I think the answer is no, right? And they do not get recruited, and even they get recruited, they do not get promotion, and they do not sit at a higher echelon of the organization, right? So these type of problems, or what we say glass ceiling impact, are already present in the organization, and that too because of prejudices attached with them, right? And there are a lot of xenophobic behavior towards them as well. Healthcare, as we have discussed that LGBT couple do not have a legal recognition. So in case of emergency, doctors or hospitals used to ask for signing certain documents, and if they are not considered as a legal entity, they are not considered as a medical decision maker for their partner during the emergency. So this is a huge challenge. Suppose somebody is dying, and only because there is no legal recognition, you cannot take a medical decision for them, or for her or she, or whatever gender it is, right? So this is a huge challenge, right? Access to legal protections. Queer couples cannot obtain a ration card as a family unit, as we have discussed, because the couple are not considered as a legal entity, so they cannot take the ration card. And apart from that, they are ineligible for tax benefits, insurance benefit, gratuity, provident funds, and many other things for their, which is available for their partners. They are not able to utilize these benefits which are available to all the section of the society, right? And they are denied to this section of the society, right? Legal rights. No rights of succession, inheritance, alimony, and maintenance. So there is no, as we have discussed, there is no legal recognition, then there is bound to have no rights related to succession, inheritance, alimony, or maintenance, right? Communication are not protected by evidentiary privileges. So their communications do not have any evident privileges, right? No rights to donate organs or adopt children together. So this is a thing. Even if you want to donate certain thing to save certain somebody's life, you cannot do if you are belonging to the LGBTQ community, and if you are belonging to other community, you can do it. So this is a huge discrimination which is prevalent in our country. We have to counter this, because Article 17 of our Constitution, right, talks about elimination of untouchability in all forms. So this is one form of untouchability, and we have to eliminate it in order to fulfill the goals set by the Constitution of India, right? Similarly, economic security, as we have said that they do not get recruitment, so they do not get proper formal jobs. So if they do not get proper formal jobs, it means that they do not have a proper salary, so they do not able to invest in their human capital development. For example, they cannot invest in education, they cannot invest in healthcare, and at the same time they cannot live in a society as well, right? Because they do not have such a economic power in order to buy certain things. So this economic insecurity actually has a multifaceted impact on the transgender community, right? Mental health, as we have discussed, because they feel isolated from the society, and the society itself behave in a xenophobic way towards them, and it make them isolated from the society, and that isolation eventually haunt them and leading to mental health challenges. Now we are going to see what type of reforms we can take in order to provide them a dignified life, right? First of all, we have to recognize the same-sex marriage. Then the couples will have a legal entity. Then the benefits like inheritance, succession, alimony, and maintenance will be provided to them, right? Anti-discrimination legislation. Yes, it should be mandatory, and Government of India should come up with this anti-discrimination legislation, and which will be emanating from Article 17, Article 21, as well as we can see that their movement are also compromised, so we can also consider Article 19 as well. So this type of legislation should come in order to fulfill the constitutional duties or constitutional obligations of the Government of India that is given in Article 19, 17, and 21 of our Constitution. Healthcare inclusivity. So you have to understand this thing, right? Male have a different kind of problems, though there are certain problems which are prevalent across the gender, but there are certain problems which are associated with gender only, specific gender. For instance, women have specific problems, especially male also have a specific problem. Similarly, the LGBTQ community also have certain kind of different problems which are not common in women as well as men. For that, we have to develop certain tools and technology in order to cater their healthcare need, and that for that we have to make our healthcare inclusive, right? Now we are going to talk about economic support. Financial assistance should be given, right? Because there are a number of other vulnerable sections in the society and they are getting certain financial assistance. For as you know, street vendors are getting certain financial assistance, MSMEs are getting financial assistance, women are getting, farmers are getting, all are getting the financial assistance. Why not to give to the LGBTQ community? We have to give certain financial assistance so that they can live a minimum basic life. They can attain their education, they can fulfill their healthcare and other needs, right? So it is necessary for us, especially the government of India, to provide financial assistance to LGBTQ community. Social awareness and education, that is very important. We have to make our education inclusive, and when we are talking about inclusive, it not only going to contain the LGBT community, it can also going to cover the 50% of the population in our country, that is women. They are also facing a lot of problems in our society. They are treated in patriarchal society, as you know, they are treated very differently, and they are deprived from proper education, especially the higher educations. So this type of things are not conducive for a country like India, right? For that, we have to build certain curriculum so that this kind of stereotypeness or prejudices with respect to other gender or religion or caste should be eliminated in our society to make a peaceful place to live, right? Similarly, awareness campaign should be there in order to provide the proper awareness regarding the challenges faced by the LGBT community, and for due to this awareness, people might feel empathetic enough to help the LGBTQ community in order to live their dignified life. Especially the school programs, the anti-bullying programs, like as we have seen in the college also. I'm not able to recall that name. Let us discuss it later. Anti-bullying programs, right? This program should be incorporated as happened in the colleges with respect to ragging, right? Sorry, I'm forgetting this word, ragging. Like ragging, it has been eliminated from the colleges, I think from 2014 or 15 onwards, and you are going to find very little ragging in our colleges or any colleges as of now. But still, this LGBT community are facing bullying, and they are facing a lot of challenges in the schools. For that, we have to sensitize our school system, and at the same time we have to sensitize our society, and for that we can come up with anti-bullying bullying program. Legal access and protections. Yes, legal aid services as given by NALSA and SALSA, right, should also take care of this transgender population. However, there is a provision for them in the NALSA as well as state legal service authority, but they are not generally approached by the lawyers in order to provide them a ad. For, as you know, there is a stigma attached towards in the society, and lawyers are no different from it, right? Support networks. Yes, as we have discussed that they are facing isolated, so we have to create certain conducive environment so that all the stakeholders in the society can live peacefully, can interact with each other, can talk, and can gather together and do whatever they want to, right? So this type of networking or social interactions is necessary in order to curb the challenges or menace of mental health, right? Now we are going to see our preliminary discussion. So we have taken this article from the Hindu newspaper, and the article is mostly talking about the impact of light pollution on Alzheimer's disease, right? So let us read the context. Research in the US have found a correlation between light pollution at night and the incidence of Alzheimer's diseases. Exposure to artificial light at night is one environmental factor that could be a significant risk factor in causing Alzheimer's disease. So there is a study showing that due to light pollution, there might be chances that the onset of Alzheimer may happen early. and at the same time it may also contribute in the cause of Alzheimer disease. Now we are going to see what is light pollution. First of all, it is an excessive light. It's excessive human-made light. It's not a natural light. Man-made light that disrupt the dark sky in the night. So this is night. This is about light pollution. Light pollution is the excessive light, especially the artificial light at night, which hampers the dark sky in the night. And because of this, there are a number of challenges we are going to see in next slide. So according to some data, 80% of the global populations are experiencing light pollution. So this is huge concern. Like air and other pollution, light pollution is also a challenge, right? However, it seems harmless, but it disrupts so small thing that it cannot be recognized easily. So let us see what will be the impact on human health. So especially the light pollution hampers the circadian rhythm of the individual. It means it will going to disrupt the sleep cycle, which in turn will going to disrupt the hormones of the individual, and that may lead to various other challenges, right? So the main problem is related to the sleep cycle. It disrupts the sleep cycle, and as you know, if the natural sleep cycle is broken, the body become a little lethargic and it become little less active, right? So this is one of the impact of light pollution. Impact on plants. So it is very important because, as you know, in the daytime photosynthesis happen in the presence of sunlight, leading to the formation of food for the plant, and which are generally eaten by the herbivorous as well as carnivorous, omnivorous as well. However, during the night time, what plants do? They try to restore or preserve a very important chemical that is known as phytochrome, right? So this phytochrome molecule is very important for performing various processes like photoperiodism. Photoperiodism is when we have to the amount of light, the period in which the growth will going to take, right? Dormancy and seed germination. It means that it will going to disrupt the whole phenology of the plant system, right? So this is impacting more to plant as compared to humans. Especially one study shows that it inhibits zooplanktons from consuming surface algae, leading to algal blooms that kills lakes vegetation and degrade the water's quality. It shows that the light pollution near the lake inhibit the zooplanktons from consuming the surface algae, and if they are not able to consume the surface algae, then it lead to algal bloom, and algal bloom is a climatic environmental catastrophe, right, impacting the whole ecosystem of the lake or any other water bodies. Impact on animals. There are various nocturnal animals which used to move, migrate, breed, feed in the night, and due to this light pollution their behavior will be changed, leading to impact in their breeding pattern. It will also going to disturb their prey predator dynamics, and sometimes it can lead to blindness of the animal as well. Nocturnal animals, as you know, very common is bat. Now we are going to talk about birds. So as you know, birds take a lot of migrations during their life cycle, right? And their migration is mostly dependent on light, and the light coming from sun and moon and stars, because they try to orient themselves based on the light coming from these celestial bodies, right? But due to this light pollution, what happens, they get confused whether this light is from star or moon, and they may deviate from their proper migratory path, and which in turn may lead to various impacts. Suppose they may go for early or too late migration, then for whatever purpose they are going, it will not be realized, right? For example, if they are going for feeding, for suppose they are coming from Russia and they are trying to feed in November in Assam region, right? But they due to this light pollution they migrated earlier, and they come in October in Assam region, right? And there they will not able to get any food, right? And which in turn it will impact their feeding habit. At the same time, it will also going to hamper their breeding impact and other dynamics, as we have seen in the animal case, right? Astronomy. As you know, for astronomy we need clear night sky, because we have to see the celestial bodies, and if there is any artificial light, it will going to disrupt the observation, especially the astronomical object like stars, galaxies and nebulae, leading to improper observation by the astronomical systems, right? Now we are going to see one MCQ based on this. So there is a one PYQ, sorry, it is in 2023. One MCQ you have to solve and comment in the comment box. It is related to mercury pollution, right? Now we are going to solve the practice question. Consider the following disease. Consider the following: onset of Alzheimer disease, disturbance in breeding pattern of bats, promote algal blooms in lakes, interference in observation of astronomical object. How many of the above are the potential impacts of light pollution? So in this case, we have seen that it may lead to Alzheimer disease, it may disturb the breeding pattern, it may promote algal blooms in the lake, and they may interfere in the observation of astronomical object. It means that all 4 is correct. Then we have to go for option D. Now we'll move to our next topic, that is golden fiber. So here we have to see this article. It came on the last page of the Hindu newspaper. So the context is jute, also known as golden fiber, is the second most important cash crop in India after cotton in terms of cultivation and uses. Now we are going to see what are the climatic conditions for jute cultivations. So it is generally a tropical humid. It requires it's required a tropical humid climate. So I am just going to give you some clue. So when we are talking about tropical, it means that temperature will be around 15 to 35 degrees Celsius. So let us see, it is around 15 degrees to 34 degrees Celsius. When it is humid, it means that the weather should have around 200 centimeter rainfall or more, right? So let us see, it is 250 centimeter rainfall, which will be well distributed, right? The climate should be humid. When we are talking about climate, it means a long period of time we are talking about, right? So this period should have a well distributed rainfall of around 250 centimeter. Now we are going to see certain soils. However, they can grow in any kind of soil, but the best soil is loamy alluvial soil, which are mostly found in the deltaic region of our country, especially the Sundarban regions, right? Lateritic and gravel soils are not suitable. Gravel soils do not able to hold the plants, right? Especially when we are talking about grass crop, it's are generally larger in size. So these gravel soils which have less binding capacity are not suitable for this crop. And the soil type, especially a little acidic and little basic, is good for this jute cultivation, right? Land, especially it is generally what we call flooding system are generally used, as we have seen in the rice case. So this type of same type of cultivation practice are done for jute as well. Labor, it is a labor intensive job. Labor intensive job means we are using less machines, we are using more human labor. And when we are talking about labor intensive, it has one benefit as well. As you know, West Bengal, Bihar and certain regions are highly dense and there is huge labor force. And if this occupation is labor intensive, it means that they have high propensity to create more jobs, right? So this why this industry become very, especially this crops become very important in order to enhance our job as well as other things, right? Jute is a biodegradable substance, right? It's a biodegradable. It means that we can use as an alternative of plastic. And there are a number of bags are also coming into the market made of jute, right? Now we're going to see one more important aspect, especially it may be asked in the mains examination, but I think it is very important, so we have to discuss it. So this is the reason where jute are cultivated, and as you know, most of the jute cultivating areas went to Bangladesh when we get independence in 1947. So let us see the reasons for high concentration of jute mills in Hugli basins. So we are going to see the factors which are necessary for the location of jute industry, and how this Hugli becoming one of the epicenter for this high concentration of jute mills in the Hugli basins. First of all, proximity to raw material, as we have discussed that this jute are cultivated in the deltaic region of our country, so it is highly proximate to the industries, right? Energy sources, yes, because it requires a lot of energy for the processing, weaving, and various other processes involved in the formation of jute industry or jute textile. And one of the important coal field is nearby, that is Raniganj coal field are nearby. Especially market is necessary both for the import as well as export, and both for the domestic sale of the jute. For that we have to have roadways, and especially road, rail, and waterways. Waterways are not so much developed in our country right now. However, when we develop this system, then jute prices will be, especially the product of the jute will be the cost of the product of the jute will be come down eventually. Humid climate, as we have seen that this is having humid climate due to the influence of ocean nearby, and at the same time, as you know, this Bay of Bengal branch of monsoon also going to hit this region. So there is a lot of rainfall in this region, and it becomes important and conducive for the growth of this cash crop. Proximity to port, Haldia port is nearby, so we can able to export as well as import as well. High demand, due to high population density in West Bengal, Bihar, UP areas, there is a high demand, especially these are more demanded in the horticulture sector. As you have seen, when we went to vegetables to purchase vegetables, you are going to find a lot of bags in front of them which are generally made of jute. Capital availability, especially as you know, the Bengal are one of the prosperous regions during the British time, so they have huge entrepreneur capabilities, so the capital is not a challenge when we are talking about the establishment of jute industry in the Hugli basin. Solve this PYQs which has been asked in 2020. Now we are going to solve this practice question. As we have seen it, you can also go through this practice question as well, because most of the things as have already discussed. So now we are going to see our last topic today, that is official language of High Court. So we have taken this article from the Hindu newspaper, and the article read like this: use of regional languages in high courts remain limited despite constitutional provisions, right? So let us see the context. There is a demand for the use of regional languages in high court to make justice more accessible, right? Now we are going to see certain constitutional provisions related to the official language of the Supreme Court as well as High Court in our country. So Article 368 talks about that, state that all the proceedings in Supreme Court and High Courts shall be in English language until Parliament by law otherwise provide. So it given the discretion to Parliament to enact certain things. However, the Constitution mandate that whatever the proceedings which are going to happen in Supreme Court and High Court should be in English language. Now we are going to see Article 348B, because this is the article we have to read, because this is the same context in which we have taken this article. So it provides that the governor of any state, right, with the previous consent of the president, can make use of Hindi language or any other official language of the state in the proceedings of High Court, having its principal seat in that state, provided that decrees, judgments or orders passed by such courts shall be in English. So whatever proceedings are taking place in the High Court with the especially when the governor decides with the proper concurrence of the president, then the proceedings can happen in the regional languages. However, the judgment, decrees and orders given by the High Court shall be in English. And same is reiterated by Section 7 of the Official Language Act 1963. It iterates that provides for the use of Hindi or official language of the state along with English for the purpose of judgment, decrees, if the president so authorizes. So on the basis of this, certain governor of the state has taken measures. For instance, the use of Hindi has been authorized in the proceedings as well as in the judgments, decrees or orders in the high courts of the states of Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. So we are going to see that almost all the Hindi belt, mostly the larger state of the Hindi belt have adopted Hindi as their official language, and they have directed the high court as well to use this language in their proceedings as well as in judgment, decrees or orders, right? Now we are going to solve our last MCQ. So you have to solve this question and comment in the comment box. We are going to discuss this thing, right? The Constitution of India affirms that the official language of transaction of business in high courts be English. However, certain states are allowed for the use of Hindi along with the English for the same. Select the options of the correct states from the given below. As we have discussed, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar are the 4 states where Hindi are also used along with English in their degrees, in their orders and judgment of the high courts. So this is all from me. Have a good day.